Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Yes. Shockingly enough, brought to you by not only the GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief, but also Nat Handsome Games. I stumbled over saying it because I'm just so unused to having a sponsor. Now we have sponsors every once in a while, but you know what I'm saying. So yes, Nat Handsome Games and their Fabled Empire Kickstarter are sponsoring the Dispatch this week. And the Kickstarter is live. I am going to share a quick video, give you an idea of what Fabled Empire is all about. Yes, you can reserve a copy of Fabled Empire for 5e in hardcover for a $49 pledge, or score just the PDF alone for a $25 pledge through July 17th. Why am I thinking? I know, it's a weird day. Oh, wait a second. Somebody's saying no audio. They didn't have audio in the video? Really? All right, hold on. We'll make sure we get that right for you. All right, let's try that one more time.
A whole new setting for fairy tale fantasy in 5e. This tome contains over 200 pages of new creatures, villains, denizens, magic items, spells, player options, and more. Integrate unique mechanics that govern this land, making deals and contracts. Just don't get caught not fulfilling your side of the bargain. Fabled Empire takes inspiration from modern and classic fairy tales. Enjoy all types of fairy tales at your table. Compatible with 5e D&D and the upcoming 2024 edition. Back on Kickstarter for an introductory price.
So everybody got audio that time. That's kind of strange, kind of unusual. As I had mentioned before, Fabled Empire is on Kickstarter through July 17th. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover edition for $49 as your pledge. And you can get just the PDF if you'd like for a pledge of $25. According to what I understand with this project, once it wraps up, if it does happen to fund, then you will actually be getting the PDF ASAP, whereas the actual physical book is expected in July of next year. Pretty cool. So big thank you to Nat Handsome Games for sponsoring the Dispatch this week. Should also point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show, the Madman. He is with us. He happens to be one of our chat moderators. Roger Perdome, Semper Buffo, James Venabush, W. Forge, Russell Higgins, Pete Drakulich, Lord Cost 2000, Kathy Evans, and Christopher Lundgren are with us in chat tonight. Welcome. Jody Connor is also popping on board, as is Sean O'Donnell. So it looks as if Christopher Lundgren is hanging out at the auto repair place because their brakes went out on their drive home. Well, thankfully, nothing happened. So that is a bullet dodged, no doubt. So very nice. Very cool. All right. Got a lot cooking tonight. Sorry, Game Cat threw me off because Game Cat popped up and says, has popped in. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, I see. Game Cat has popped in. Took me a sec. JD Saul 3002 is asking, where are we? Well, we are at the beginning of the show. We're about ready to get on into the news portion. And Shanbot B42 is also hanging out with us. And I'll take a guess. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking in the shadows, polishing up that band hammer with glitter. So behave. Because, yes, she is another of our chat moderators. Let's jump on into the news because I've got quite an eclectic mix tonight. First off, It's Only Magic for the Cypher system is arriving on July 10th. And here's the skinny from Monte Cook Games. Imagine a world of spells, glamours, ghosts, and demons. A world like ours, with today's society, technology, and culture. Perhaps a cozy witchcore setting or a frantic campaign where dark supernatural forces threaten existence itself. Whatever your vision, It's Only Magic brings a touch or a truckload of magic to the modern world. Find tools and advice for integrating magic and the supernatural into any modern game, along with adventures and inspiration, rules, creatures, and character options in a richly detailed setting you can use for a cozy standalone campaign or drop into a larger magic-touched world. Inside the book, you'll find great adventure and world-building advice for creating fun, compelling modern magic campaigns. New foci, descriptors, and other character options. Create a magic hacker who makes ciphers on their phone, a fast and furious driver who imbues their car with magic, or a gun wizard who shoots spells. Optional rules for magic cozy or grand. I gotta admit, they're using that word cozy way too much. Craft magic items, find your familiar, or load up on cantrips. Loads of magical creatures. Discover bargainer, demons, gargoyles, haunted cars, Bloody Mary, even a centaur barista. Plus species descriptors for player characters. Here it comes again, cozy coffee shop magic campaign setting, the Axial. Set your whole game here or drop this richly detailed neighborhood or any of its many detailed sites into any city in your current campaign. Plus a second bonus campaign setting, New Grimsby by Eric Campbell and Jody Hauser of the Steampunks. There are also 3 complete adventures you can use in any game of modern Magic. This 224-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it lands in stores on July 10th. The PDF is not currently available. I will take a stab. We will see it pop up on Drive-Thru RPG, carrying a price of around $24.99. So if you are into the Cypher system and you are aiming to run something along the lines of an urban fantasy setting, cozy or not, this is certainly well worth a peek. Christopher Lundgren says, cozy, 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 come and sing along. Sean O'Donnell says, liberal amounts of coziness. Not the worst thing. Yes, I would agree with you on that. I certainly would. On to our next news piece. The DC-20 role-playing game Kickstarter project is nearing the $1.6 million funding mark. Here's the latest from the Dungeon Coach. Innovating on the best parts of 5e and Pathfinder, DC-20 forges a new path forward with reimagined rules for all aspects of tabletop role-playing games. The rules are designed to not hold game masters back and in no way get in the way of players, so that everyone has more fun as the rules fade into the background. There's dynamic agency. Players get 4 action points in combat to spend on a variety of actions, both on and off their turn. Everyone has resources to spend in unique and custom ways, along with options to combo together with allies. This keeps them engaged and opens up the creativity of what is possible for both player and game master. There are custom character creation options. Become the character you always wanted you could be with iconic and unique abilities. Choose your own primary attribute and customize your ancestry to create a truly one-of-a-kind character. DC-20 emphasizes and rewards high rolls, especially natural 20s, across the entire game, leading to an electric energy at your table. Unique challenge systems for all 3 pillars of the game, social, combat, and exploration, gives game masters the tools to tell more cinematic, immersive, and epic stories together. The core rules is the only resource you need to play DC-20 for both players and game masters. Players can create characters from levels 1 through 20. Game masters can run games smoother than ever, and together you can tell the best stories ever told. There are general rules, running the game, rule systems, skill challenges, game rules, and dice systems for all 3 pillars of role-playing games. The combat system includes action points. There's a new spell system as well as martial maneuvers. The social system has disposition, reputation, allies, and enemies. And the exploration system includes traveling, resting, and downtime. And your character creation has ancestry, background, and class. There are 13 classes with new and fresh takes, each with 3 unique and iconic subclasses. This Kickstarter is, once again, just on the cusp of $1.6 million in funding. I would have shared a video, but the video is over 7 minutes long. So, no Kickstarter video for this Kickstarter. Now, you can reserve a copy of the hardcover with PDF for a $6 pledge or score just the PDF for a $30 pledge through July 1st. Expected delivery on digital items is June of 2025, and the physical book to follow in October of 2025, which is a pretty long ways out, I must say. So I know there are a lot of people who are very curious about this. I know some of you in chat are excited about this game as well. Pete Strakulich points out there is a lot of hype for DC-20. I agree. I certainly do agree. And it looks interesting. I gotta say, some of the artwork I've seen is a little too cartoony for my personal tastes. Just me. But here's what I've noticed, and I have not taken a huge deep dive into DC-20, and I'm sharing a news piece, right? So just because I'm going to share these thoughts real quickly does not mean I'm trying to dissuade anyone from backing this. But it appears that a lot of this is cribbed from a variety of different sources. So I get it. There is the 4-action economy. Yes, okay. So it's Pathfinder 2nd edition or remaster plus an action. So we've got that. We've got, of course, all the 5e stuff that it's cribbing. We also have Castles and Crusades with that primary attribute, which that's something else that is not necessarily something revolutionary or new. Shadow Dark looks like it's borrowing some things from Shadow Dark 2. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't back it? No, not at all, because all of these things could actually mesh together really, really well. And there are some folks out there who are pretty well known in the industry saying that this is a very impressive game. Now, this is what I would recommend you do. Go check out the Kickstarter. There is a link to get you a copy of the playtest rules, about 100 pages in length. I think it's a little longer than that. No artwork or anything, because I would have shared it from that PDF. But if you want to get an idea of how this game will operate, by all means, definitely take a peek at that. All right, let's take a peek in chat. So JD Soul 3002 says, WTF, and 8 GM action points to challenge the GM on every action, on every turn, as they roll their eyes. Russell Higgins is with us, says, I'll wait for retail. Cracks the Bold has joined us. Good to see you, Cracks. Says they looked into it. They weren't impressed, but they know a lot of people who are. Russell Higgins said yesterday the video they saw was like an infomercial to sham wow. I think Russell Higgins is talking about the Roll for Combat video, if I remember correctly, because I think that's what we were talking about. And then Russell had mentioned that. Now, of course, Stephen over at Roll for Combat is a pal of mine. I'm not knocking their video, but I think that's the video Russell Higgins is talking about. Or maybe it's the 7-minute video that I did not include. Matteo is with us. Good to see you once again. Is this from Wizards? Because the logo looks the same. No, it is not. It is from the Dungeon Coach. Shanbot V42 says, not my bag of tea, but it's nice to see this niche make some coin. I agree that it's a bit of a Frankenstein's RPG. The question is it cut and paste? No. Well, once again, you got to remember, there are no copyright laws that apply to mechanics. So you can utilize mechanics from anywhere. Oh, okay. Russell Higgins says it's the 7-minute video, which is like an infomercial. Well, that's what I would kind of expect. But Russell also had mentioned that they are all for an alternative to Wizards of the Coast, but they are going to wait on this one. So James Finnebush says they're in for MCDM. They're going to take a pass on this. I just thought I'd share the news piece because people are talking about it. Give you a little bit of a closer look. I am going to say that tomorrow's topic is going to be, why can't other publishers knock Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons off the top. And funny enough, I think it's something that most of these fantasy heartbreakers don't even realize. So we're going to talk about that. That is going to be tomorrow's topic. All right, on to our next news piece. Alligator Alley Entertainment and Bundle of Holding have teamed for a new money-saving offer on Esper Genesis. And here's the deets on the deal. Adventure. This all-new Esper Genesis bundle presents, you guessed it, Esper Genesis, the space opera adaptation from Alligator Alley Entertainment of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition tabletop role-playing game. Spacefaring empires collide as, on many planets, ancient machines called crucibles grant gifted adepts control of the cosmic energies that can alter gravity, empower the mind, and warp time and space. This new awakening, both miraculous and revolutionary, is christened Esper Genesis. If you like Mass Effect, Phantasy Star, and Ghost in the Shell, brace yourself for high adventure filled with high-tech gadgets and weapons, robots and aliens, starfighters and space cruisers, all building from the familiar 5e D&D rules. The Esper line stands alone. You don't need the D&D rulebooks. This all-new offer gives you the entire Esper Genesis line, everything you need for science fiction adventure in the worlds of the Silrain Arc or anywhere in the universe for an unbeatable bargain price. For just $14.95, you'll get all 5 titles in the starter collection with a retail value of $68 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Esper Genesis 5e core manual, the recent Master Technician's Guide Rules expansion with systems for starship construction, the Matrix, cybernetics, evolving gear, and star system generation, and the Game Master's screen, along with 2 initiate-level adventures, the Metakai Engine and Star Chaser. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $25.56, you'll level up and also get the entire Adventure Collection, with 11 more titles worth an additional $75, including the Threats Database and the complete 10-part campaign, Shadow of the Zephyr, including Basilisk Rendezvous, Crisis at Pel Taveria, Voices Beyond the Veil, Secrets in Silver, The Long Winter, Viral Fallout, Sensations of Bliss, Altia Media Presents, Stormfall, and the final part, Aftermath. These savings will run through July 8th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to the Diana Jones Award Emerging Designer Program. I am not familiar with Esper Genesis at all. I think I may at one point have shared a news piece about its core rulebook. But if you are into space opera, kind of maybe a little sprinkle of space fantasy in there, this might be interesting to pick up, because the reality is, I think for the $25.56, you get something like 16 PDFs. Might be kind of interesting to take a peek. Cracks the Bold asked, have we ever reviewed this? It's like, and I must have just been saying, I know really nothing about this. We're like, oh. Very sweet. Very sweet. Save some money. Check it out. All right. Next news piece. August brings the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Reichland Miscellanea hardcover. And I've got the lowdown from Cubicle 7 Games. Across the Reichland, grim and perilous adventures, unfathomable intrigues, secretive schemes, and unpredictable magic can be found around every corner. From mysterious statues to ominous shrines, odd buildings, and even odder characters, Reichland Miscellanea collects some of the most interesting oddities of the Reichland and beyond. To mark Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition's 5th year of publication, That's it? Wow. I thought the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's been out longer than that. All right. Very cool. Well, to mark that 5th year, Cubicle 7 Games has gathered some of their most popular articles in one place. Reichland Miscellany collates the following titles in one convenient package. Whether you're a veteran of the Reichland's muddy roads and winding waterways or a pristine adventurer ready to get your moots buddy, to get your boots muddy, there's something here for everyone. There's Patrons of the Old World 1 and 2, a collection of 8 fascinating patrons, influential and driven NPCs with their own agendas, useful plot hooks, and a master plan that characters throw their weight behind or struggle to prevent. Buildings of the Reichland, a collection of buildings, each with detailed floor plans and intriguing details, suitable for dropping into any Wifrip campaign. One-shots of the Reichland, a selection of quick-fire adventures, each set in one of the locations from buildings of the Reichland, and suitable for a single frantic session of play. Monuments of the Reichland, 5 fascinating monuments, each a well-known landmark, and each with its own often sinister secret. Shrines of Sigmar, 5 shrines to mighty, you guessed it, Sigmar, the patron deity of the Empire. But all is not as it seems in these fascinating locations. There's Sulasara's spells of utmost utility. The elf mage Sulasara hoped this book of spells for all 8 winds of magic would be put to constructive use by the wizards of the Empire, who promptly found entirely different applications for her magic. Blood and Bramble, witch and hedge witch alike will find a wide array of spells to use in this fair and foul collection of magic. Also included are 2 intriguing and learned NPCs of somewhat dubious intent. And Reichland Miscellany contains a fascinating array of materials useful to GMs and players alike. If you've longed to possess any of these items in print, now's your chance. Pre-order today, and you'll get the entire PDF to start reading right away. So you can pre-order the Reichland Miscellany hardcover with that aforementioned PDF for an MSRP of $39.99. It is supposed to be arriving in August. Or if you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. All of these items that are collected in this book were released separately as individual PDFs. And I've got to say, most of them ran anywhere from like $3.99 to $4.99. So even if you just got the PDF, maybe you've picked up a couple of these for your Wifrip games in the past, but didn't get them all. $19.99 for the PDF is actually a pretty good deal. So, and I will guess that we will have an opportunity to see this hardcover when it arrives in August. In fact, it might even be possibly a Gen Con release. Well. Tessie Trekkie asks, isn't Diana Jones named for the fact that they burned the last unsold copy of the Indiana Jones adventure game at TSR and the ashes went into the trophy? I have no idea. Do not know. W. Forge says they believe that's the story. Now, that's something I do not know anything about. Chuck Terrell's with us again. Good to see you, Chuck. Let's move on to our final news piece. Questing Beast Games has released the 2nd edition of Knave in PDF. Here's the latest. Knave 2nd Edition is an exploration-driven fantasy role-playing game and world-building toolkit inspired by the best elements of the old-school D&D movement. This edition expands on the intuitive core of the original game, featuring elegant modular subsystems for hex crawling, dungeon delving, potion making, and downtime activities, all in an 80-page digest-sized hardcover, lavishly illustrated by Peter Mullen. The book features a world-class GM's toolkit. Roll and combine results from 75 D100 tables to rapidly generate dungeons, overworld regions, cities, monsters, items, spells, NPCs, and factions, or just scan the pages for inspiration. These are especially useful for people who enjoy playing role-playing games solo. Intuitive, unified D20 mechanics that allow new players to make characters and start playing in minutes. Ability scores, armor, and difficulty ratings are placed on a 0 to 10 scale, yet remain compatible with the adventures and monsters from the last 50 years of fantasy role-playing. The rules can also effortlessly switch between player-facing and GM-facing roles. There is a slot-based inventory system that makes tracking what you carry both easy and mechanically meaningful. If you take enough damage, wounds can begin filling item slots, forcing you to drop gear, treasure, or weapons. There's classless character generation that lets player characters draw from multiple archetypes at once. Any player character can cast spells, call down miracles, and use any weapon or armor. Their effectiveness is only restricted by what abilities they choose to improve and how they fill those limited item slots. And much, much, much more. This 80-page PDF is available right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. You can also score the hardcover. It is out, it is available, and it carries an MSRP of $35. Yes. Kevin R. Smith has joined us tonight saying, I see Jeff was impressed enough by DC 20 to do a news item. Well, I shared a news item. It looked interesting. It'd be something I'd peek at. Yeah, but as I had mentioned, Kevin's late to the party on this. A lot of things that are being mentioned as being like selling points are cribbed from other games. So it's like, Cracks the Bolt says, I mean, it is news. That's right. Yeah, I share news pieces all the time of stuff where it's like, I think people are interested in this. Is it for me? Probably not. Now, I'm not saying DC 20's not for me. I'm just saying there are times I will share a news piece where I think, I think the gang would probably like to know more about this. Not something that I would go out of my way to go pick up, but still. So a little bit of discussion here. James Venabush says, a lot of us thought that back before Pathfinder, TSR did too many boneheaded things, and Wizards of the Coast seems to be rushing down the same path. So a little bit of discussion about, because tomorrow's topic is going to be why publishers can't knock off Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons. There are a few different reasons. There is one major reason that all of these Kickstarters for all of these fantasy heartbreakers that we've seen both over the past year and a half and in the foreseeable future, there's one thing that they do not address. And as my late friend Bob used to say, if you're going to be the man, you got to beat the man. And many of these publishers, and I am friends with people at some of these publishers, they don't address the big elephant in the room if you are planning on trying to take a run at Dungeons and Dragons. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, because tonight's topic is going to be the one trait that I believe all great dungeon masters and game masters must possess. And we will talk about that right after I talk about Drive-Thru RPG. Psych. You thought something else was coming. Anyway, I was wrapping up the news piece. I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG, Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by at thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Refreshing. And I'm out. So there. And there are folks who are out there who stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations. So big thank you to them. In fact, Joshua Edwards just popped on over there. And very recently, so did the Madman. Very generous donations from them both. Thank you very kindly. And of course, I appreciate all of you who use our banner ads and or stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang. So as I mentioned, tonight I'm going to talk about the single traits that I feel all great dungeon masters and game masters must possess. Right after a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Want a lifesaver?
Yes.
Ever hear anyone say no to a lifesaver?
Oh, heck, my flying saucer's out of atomic fuel.
I'm even worse off. I'm out of Wilkins coffee.
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man.
Here, gentlemen, is your villain.
It would take an enormous number of those to disable a Navy submarine.
Or just one of enormous size, Mr. Chase.
I see they picked an atom sub to go out and fight this thing. Why is that, Commander?
Could be because of the new electronic equipment, or her speed.
Was she ordered back here from Hawaii just for that?
That's right.
Think it's as bad as that, do you?
I think we're lucky she's here.
The H-bomb blasted it loose from the depths of the Pacific. But not even the H-bomb can kill it.
Unknown object coming this way. Entering minefield. Stand by, number 38, mine.
Fire!
Go up. Ready, number 12 south.
Fire!
Coming on through.
That's the end of our first line of defense, Miss Joyce.
Then the red alert.
West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
We can see, obviously enough, that giant octopus is not destroying Castro Street in San Francisco. Just tell by the way folks were dressed. Actually, that's not a bad movie. It really isn't. Once again, a little more. I think that is Ray Harryhausen doing those special effects, too. Very nice. Matthew Constantine's popping on in to say hello, but they cannot stay. So Kevin Horstman says, San Francisco destroyed by claymation, film at 11. There you have it. All right. So as I mentioned, tonight I'm going to talk about a trait that I feel all great game masters and dungeon masters have to possess. It's just a must-have. If you do not possess this, I'm not saying you can't be a game master. I just don't think you'll ever be a great game master. And of course, as I discuss this, by all means, feel free, share your thoughts in chat if you are watching after the fact. If you're watching on Memorex, then of course, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section as well. So that trait that I believe all great dungeon masters and game masters must possess is imagination. If you do not possess imagination and you are interested in being a game master for a role-playing game, you are going to have a very tough slog. Seriously, nigh impossible, in my opinion. Now, of course, there are plenty of people out there who get together and you have the game masters simply sit there and read all the read aloud and everything else. And it's all by the book. And it's all pretty dryly presented. Sure. I mean, that is game mastering. It's not great game mastering, though. So if you're the type of person who feels that you don't have a wonderful imagination, there are ways to help improve that. There are ways for you to boost that. And I'm going to talk about 5. 5 ways I believe that people can help improve their imagination. First thing, relax. Let your mind wander from time to time. Now, I'm not saying let your mind wander while you're on the highway heading to work or you're walking down a busy metropolitan street. No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about when you have some downtime, when you're alone, when you're at home. Allow your mind to wander. Some people feel that they always have to be doing something. Always got to be, well, if I got a few spare minutes, I got to read stuff on my phone. No, you don't. You don't need to do that, especially if you want to be a good, if not great, game master or dungeon master. Take some time, unwind, allow your imagination to roam wild. You don't always have to be listening to something. You don't always have to be watching moving images in front of your face. You do not always have to be checking to see what's going on TikTok or Instagram or X, Facebook, what have you. Sometimes you should just kick back, close your eyes, and see where it takes you. So that's the first thing. Relax. Take a breath. Enjoy. Second thing I point out is to make a conscious effort to be more observant. I mean, really observant. So I recommend that from time to time, you engage in a little bit of a mental exercise where you see something and just in your head, I'm not saying that you're going to sit there talking to yourself, but in your head, describe that thing or event or whatever you happen to be looking at in one or two detailed sentences. And do your best to avoid using common words like big or large or small or tiny. Try to expand upon your vocabulary in these descriptions. And when you're a game master, for the most part, you must set a scene using words only. And the more unique, the more interesting you can set that scene, the better for your players, which of course, better for your players means it's better for you. Entertained players are far more entertaining to run games for, as opposed to people who have their noses stuck in a phone or just zoning out. Or great way to tell if somebody is bored or not at your table, if they're constantly playing with their dice. If they're constantly playing with dice, that tends to tell me that someone is not invested in that session. I'm just saying. But as far as being descriptive, think about it. So if you're talking about, say, a city street. Well, a city street in, let's say, an older area of Boston is going to be quite different than a city street in Phoenix, Arizona. Not only are the buildings going to be different, you're also looking at how much space people have will be different. It's going to be far more cramped in Boston neighborhoods than they are in Phoenix or its outlying cities in that area. Just the environment alone, the weather will be different. So rather than just saying, oh, well, it's a city street, look to engage your imagination and describe that street. Now, you can use your own personal experience to paint these pictures for your players. Obviously, if you don't have experience with certain things, like as an example, a lot of people don't have any experience firing a gun, but playing role-playing games, depending on what sort of genre you're playing, there are a lot of people who've never fired a gun that are game masters for role-playing games with a lot of guns. So use your imagination. Let's see what we've got cooking in chat here. James Venabush says, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Great movie, all about imagination. Pretty good book, too, if I remember. I'm trying to remember, was that a novella or an actual novel? I think it was maybe an actual novel. So some discussion of Free RPG Day. I have a news piece tomorrow about Free RPG Day. It's not about the event, but it is about something that's being given away by a publisher online that you might want to grab. You may want to grab it. Chris Burkhardt says a thesaurus is a useful tool for scene description. Yes, it is. Most certainly is. So something else I recommend, explore. Take a walk outside. Get out of the house. Go someplace you haven't been before. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be miles and miles away. I'm not telling you got to go on vacation. You don't have to leave the state. You don't even have to leave like a 5-mile radius. But get outside the house. Get off the couch. Get off of your easy chair, whatever, your gaming chair. Get away from the computer. Go outside, walk around, and experience, if you can, in some ways, a little bit of nature. Because when you're in a situation where you have to describe a primordial forest or a field, if you've never walked through a field or stood next to a field, which, strangely enough, I am sure there are probably some folks out there who haven't, never been to a forest, ever walked through a forest, going out, taking a walk, just experiencing new things will engage your imagination. Not even just going to places, just doing new things and keeping an open mind. Don't be judgmental. Don't right away assume something about anything. Keep an open mind, and you will find that your imagination will grow. Shanbot V42 says, 100% going on short hikes helps me come up with simple situations that can really add a lot to a game. Yeah, most definitely. Here's something else. I talk about this all the time. Listen to audio dramas. Now, I usually talk about listening to old-time radio shows because they're free. You don't have to pay anything for them. You can go over to archive.org and spend the rest of your life listening to old-time radio shows. No joke. Now, you want to listen to certain old-time radio shows, but you'll find how you can not only create a story to paint a word picture, because that's all they had. They had sound. It's all they had available to them during the golden age of radio. They had sound. Granted, yeah, sound effects, but for the most part, it's the spoken word. And not only will listening to old-time radio shows or modern audio drama like you would find on Big Finish or graphic audio, you'll not only be able to learn how to present a scene or NPC or whatever using only language, listening to those stories will also engage your imagination. So that's important to keep in mind. And then I think the biggest way and probably the easiest way to really ramp up your imagination is to read fiction. Read. It doesn't matter what sort of fiction it is, but you want to read fiction. Reason why I say you don't read nonfiction is nonfiction tends to be just statement of fact, so on and so forth, which, trust me, I read a lot of nonfiction, love history. But reading fiction, then you're getting into a lot more description. You're getting into a lot more emotional depth of characters, situations. A lot of times reading fiction, you don't know what's going to come next. If you're reading nonfiction and it's history and you're like, oh, well, I know how this ends. Just kind of curious how they got there. And I know a lot of people out there, they talk about, well, you know, I don't read because I've got ADHD or another learning disability or what have you. And I understand. I get it. I seriously empathize with you. But the thing is, try it. I have known a lot of people over the years who had some sort of reading issue. But you're never going to address it if you don't read. Like, I'll give you a great example. My nephew had, I don't know if it was ADHD. Well, I don't know if he still has it or what. You know, we've talked about this before, that there's all these different things that, unfortunately, kids suffer from these days that are kind of learning disabilities and stuff. And he hated to read because I don't think he was dyslexic. I don't think he's dyslexic at all. But I do think he had a bit of ADHD. And, oh, Uncle Jeff, I don't like to read. I don't want to read. I don't like reading. And then got him reading stuff that he enjoyed. And now he reads quite a bit. And he talks about how, you know, oh, well, yeah, it's not as tough as it once was. Yeah, it's pretty easy, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, cool. It's pretty sweet. Keldon's with us in chat. So speaking of audio shows, there's a ton of RPG actual play videos out there. I'm always listening to one. I would say if you're a game master and you have some experience and you're looking to kind of pick up some tips and things like that, I think that's fine. As far as looking for something to jumpstart your imagination, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because you got to realize there are a lot of actual plays out there that aren't very good. Not naming anything by name, but there are some actual plays where it's sort of like, really? And the actual play game master is awful. It's one of the reasons why I tend to tell people that if you're a game master, don't watch actual plays. Don't watch actual plays because you tend to spend more time thinking, I don't know what the hell this game master is doing, or you're going to pick up some bad habits. There are a lot of actual plays out there that are like, you might as well watch paint dry. All right, Pete Strakulich is rocking on out. Says it's game time. Very cool. Very nice. Christopher Lundgren says you need imagination and patience as well and be excited to run the game. I think the first thing you need to be a great game master, dungeon master, what have you, has to be imagination. It's got to be. You can be excited, and then when the game starts, if you're just at a loss for words or you can't effectively set the scene, yeah, of course, sure, you can have a virtual tabletop if you're playing online. You can have miniatures, you can have terrain, you can have maps, you can have all that stuff. But there is no substitution for a well-painted word picture when it comes to role-playing games. Nothing like it. Nothing like it at all. Eric R. is popping on in, saying know when to say yes and knowing when to say no. Okay. Kevin R. Smith says there's one actual play channel they use to go to sleep. The GM is really knowledgeable about the history of gaming, but neither he nor his players are particularly telegenic. And no, I'm not going to name names because for one, to be honest, I probably wouldn't remember 90% of them that I've taken a peek at for 5 minutes. Chris Burkhart asks, where would I rate improvisation as far as important skills for a game master? I would put it up there. I don't think it's as important as people think, because improvisation is different than thinking on the fly. I think thinking on the fly is more important than improvisation. But yeah, that's it's, well, you got to realize if you don't have these things and you're running a game as a game master, that game is going to come to a screeching halt. Oh, wait. Everybody's not doing the thing that I thought they were going to do in my pre-written adventure that I'm running. Now what? Or as an example, like NPCs. If every NPC is the same, not of course in the adventure, but just the presentation of them and the description of them, your players are going to be like, unless your players are only there at the table to throw dice and, get into combat. And there are a lot of people like that who play role-playing games. I guess, that's fine. Just not something that I'd be excited about. All right, so that is our topic for tonight. Just want to say, I think to be a great dungeon master, or game master, you must have a pretty healthy imagination. You can disagree. I'm just saying. James Venabush says to increase imagination, practice improv. That's another great skill for DMs. Yeah, I agree. I do agree. All righty. So that is it for this time out. Once again, big thank you to Nat Handsome Games and their Fabled Empire Kickstarter for sponsoring us this week. By all means, check out the Kickstarter. You can go over to fabledrpg.com to check it out. Of course, I've got a news piece on thegaminggang.com as well. All right, if you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, big tip of the cap as well, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company as well. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for watching any of the nearly 2,000 videos that are here on the channel. Of course, everybody enjoyed the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is. If you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as today's Paizo preview for June 2024. That's right. I take a first look at the 4 Pathfinder products that are arriving on the 26th. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McLear. I hope you join me tomorrow. And as always, I certainly hope every single one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.